KNICKS REHAB. KNICKS REHAB, y'all.
Last opposing coach that we faced, Ty Lue, he talked about how the approach that we had with these stars for the Knicks.
We did some good things. I thought Brunson, like you said, really took over the game down the stretch. I thought Cat was aggressive, the whole game. Just, getting the matchups, getting his angles on his drives. We were trying to commit early to try to, deter him from driving and try to make him turn the ball over. But he did a good job and just was physical and running through our guys and got to the free throw line a lot, but also being aggressive. And then I thought Brunson, we mixed up coverages, try to blitz him, try to drop and do some different things. And he was able to take over the game down the stretch. No, I mean, Tyler's been playing great, but just pushing the pace. And then, like I said, they played through Cat, who brought him home once Jalen was on the bench. And, when Jalen came back, he sealed the deal, And so I'm having that 1-2 punch, that combination, kind of like, with Kawhi and James, they stagger Cat and Jalen. And both of those guys are able to carry their units like our guys are. So, I thought they featured Big Cat, a lot more tonight. And he was aggressive.
That was Ty Lue, head coach of the LA Clippers. Couple that with the fact that Mike Brown's comments after the Clipper game, it was something that we all probably want to hear as Knicks fans.
No, like I said, I applaud our guys because, we had some adversity and we could have gone this way and another guy could have gone that way and another guy could have gone that way. But, one of our standards is, hey, let's stay connected. And it's up to me and Kat and Jalen to keep the group uplifted and connected, as well as everybody else in that locker room. And you guys did a heck of a job, and we've been doing it for most of the year. And so it's not surprising when we do it. It's more surprising when we don't. But I have to make sure that I understand and I have some patience when we don't, because they're human and I'm human and everybody's going to make mistakes or revert back. You just hope it's not for a long time. And when it happens, you're like, okay, that's who we are. And I feel that they feel pretty good about it too, because it just proves or shows that they're capable to play that way anytime they want.
That was Mike Brown, head coach of the Knicks. For me, that was very surprising because the whole year we've been hearing him campaign Brunson as the MVP. The first thing we heard about was, how Cat has to perform in this system and he's going to get the ball. A lot of people compared it to how Sabonis got it in Sacramento, but there was a lot of criticism with Cat. Obviously, all of us are criticizing him, but I've never heard him refer to Cat, especially before Brunson, in a conversation and say how he has to be the leader along with Brunson and himself for this team. That's the first time I ever heard him say that all year. And that's what we want for Cat. So I think the conversations that were being had before this game, the real conversation that they had in the players only meeting, whatever it was, did Cat vent his frustrations? Did they finally get it out that, that D Wade to LeBron conversation, dog, we don't do this without you. We've been talking about this. Did Cat step up and take ownership of that? Because Mike Brown certainly put it on the platter, AllBall.
I don't think he said Cat name first, like how you're making it out to be. I just think, it's just how he said it. But let's be realistic. I said this the other day on KNICKS REHAB. We brought Cat here to be, to get us over the hump, to get us to a championship. We all know Cat is, the 1 or 2 on his team. Some think he's the best player, some think Brunson is. But we all know, you need both of those guys on the same accord. You need both of those guys to have chemistry and be on the same page. So, of course, you're going to, being the coach, Mike Brown, you have to have the talk with your 2 guys. You can't just have a talk with Brunson without Cat or vice versa. No, it's up to those 2 to get everybody on the same page and lift this team up. So I agree with that. And I think Mike Brown, he's starting to understand, like, this thing is for real. The Knicks organization, the fan base, we are looking for a championship. And I think now at the podium, he's starting to get it. And he said what we've been saying. Listen, this thing can go far left. You lose 4 straight, you get blown out 3 games straight. Remember, for us to go against the Clippers, who was kind of a little bit hot, and still have, Hall of Famers over there, this thing can really go left. So I think, he's 100% correct. And we've been saying it. I know I have been. Listen, Cat, Brunson, front office, coaching staff, y'all need to sit down and talk. I said that on the last KNICKS we had. What are y'all going to do? because it can't continue to go like this. We have a whole season ahead of us. We still got 50 games and some shit like that. A little under that. Like, come on. So I'm glad that he named both of those guys instead of just saying Brunson, because I do think a guy like Cat is very important to the team. Like I said, he's getting the big money. You said he just came from back-to-back conference finals. Well, 3 now, 2 with Minnesota, 1 with us. I think he's a guy like Cat. You got to be careful because, I think he's sensitive and has an ego. So you got to be able to arrest that thing. So I'm just glad that he implemented Cat as like helping them understand you're just as important to the team as Brunson and we need you. But like I've been saying it. The shit is getting hot in that kitchen. And they started to really understand, like, listen, bro, let's get it back together because that 4-game losing streak had all those looking at y'all crazy. I don't think they want to have that feeling again.
It's only been back-to-back conference finals. Just a minor correction. The Minnesota went to 1, and then with the Knicks, he got the second one. Well,
He would he. Oh, right. I'm sorry. You're 100% correct. Yeah.
No, it gets foggy for me too, bro. This thing, I got more grades than you, so don't worry about it, AllBall. But also, Ty Lue mentioned staggering the 2 stars like James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, and it's kind of often forgot about Flea. But now I think Mike Brown, that was cemented, tattooed, Cat and Brunson and myself have to make sure that his team is going the right direction.
Nah. I gotta fuck with OG because the youngest in charge beat me to it. Caress, that thing was crazy. Like that shit was good.
I didn't even hear him say that.
Nah, I heard him say it. I ain't want to stop him from doing it. I ain't want to stop him, and that's my dog. I love OG. That shit was great.
Yo, you know what's crazy? As I was saying it, I'm going, why am I even using that word? I never even used that word ever in my life. What? Niggas caught that. Y'all go to hell, man.
The press conference for Mike Brown is telling, and I'll tell you why. Because Fabian said the other day, and he just made mention of it. We talk about Pat Riley, Popovich, and all of those guys and great coaches and whatever great coach you want to talk about. But when you talk about Phil Jackson, and again, Mike Brown is not Phil Jackson, so just stay with me for a second. But when we talk about Phil Jackson, we talk about how you have to manage people, right? Aside from the coaching on the floor, how you got to manage people. And this right here was the first time I'm seeing Mike Brown work on managing people as that side of, as that being that coach, right? Saying that subtly. I know OG you may not think it's a big deal, but like you just said, to end this, you got to caress that thing. He had to caress the ego, right? And had to say, like, listen, if I have to mention him before you, because guess what? Brunson is a tough guy. Brunson ain't soft. Brunson ain't weak. Brunson plays with the lack of ego, right? Especially from the coaching perspective, that I don't need to pat him on the back. He's going to go out there and work hard every night. You, on the other hand, you big 7-foot dummy, you got to be, you know what I'm saying, be loved on a little bit. And guess what? If I got to do that to help us win, I got to do that to help us win, right? That's part of the coach. That's part of the coaching thing. So I love that from Mike Brown, right? I love if you got to do that, understand KYC. Anybody in the corporate world, y'all know what that is. Know your customers. KYP, know your personnel. Know who you rocking with. Know what you're dealing with. Oh, this is what we're dealing with. I'm probably not going to change him, but let me find ways, to get him active and get him where he needs to be. Pause. That was crazy too. But so I'm cool with Mike Brown and the assessment tonight. And if Ty Lue is seeing that, right? If Ty Lue is making mention of guys being able to stagger, like he does with Kawhi and James Harden a lot. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we have to have Cat in the position of leading the second unit while Kolek shines in that spot, then that's just what we do. If that's the engine that pushes us to be great, that's just what we do. And then we close games, potentially depending on what it looks like with Kolek and Brunson and Cat on the floor. right? That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to a position where both those guys are on the floor at the same time, playing defense with high effort. They're never gonna be great defenders. These guys are 5+ years in the league. They'll never be great defenders. We're gonna call that what it is. But playing with high effort at their spot, that takes us to a different level. So I think that was great assessment from both guys.
Hey, Fabian, can I just real quick just piggyback what he said as far as with the Phil Jackson comparisons? Remember, Jeff T, big shout out to him once again. Remember, he said it also. He said, yo, all coaching is being able to deal with egos. So I agree with that. Like you said, what if Phil Jackson couldn't get Kobe and Shaq on the same court? What if he couldn't have or didn't have the respect of Mike the way he could tell Mike, hey, trust your guys? So I think a big part of what Mike Brown has to do, Flea, you're 100% correct. You got to be able to manage these egos and have guys play like egoless basketball and bring guys together and just all have one common goal. So that's a great point because Jeff Teague said the same thing. That's all coaching really is if you really think about it, besides the X's and O's.
I think coaching, especially once you go respected as a basketball mind, I think no one will doubt Mike Brown, whether he knows basketball or not. Obviously, he said he was babysitting JB Bickerstaff as a kid, and he helped him come up. He was a video coordinator. Spoelstra, AllBall's GOAT, was started off as a video coordinator or video, whatever you call that. And I just, when I saw that, I just know for a fact this is a conversation with Karl-Anthony Towns that has taken place with everybody. This is a different approach. All the stuff that Josh Hart was talking about last year with the agendas and the egos, and I feel like Karl-Anthony Towns has every right, and I think we all feel this way, especially to be a number one guy on any team, to feel egotistical and to feel like he's better than Brunson. And the way he was attacking the Clippers last game was amazing. You got Zubac in the game, and he was what, 7 of 15 or 7 of 19 from the field. He didn't shoot great, but it was the fact that he kept attacking. Even with you bitching to the ref, it didn't matter to me because you kept doing the other thing, the main thing. You kept attacking. And I don't think that happens unless he starts to feel comfortable. And I don't know if he's ever felt comfortable. He's been talking about being confused in this lineup. So all we ever said was, yo, just play your game. And I would love for him to perform more underneath the three-point line, and I think he did a lot of that last game. But psychologically, this is different. Like Mike Brown, I think that he realized the criticism of Cat is not going to work. He's sensitive, like you said, Flea. Everybody's not, when are you going to big him up? He has bigged him up. He said, he played great defense on this game, and he referred to him as an all-star level player, whatever. But this is different. Me, Cat, and Jalen Brunson have to lead the way with this. Nah, man, that's a statement. That's a different statement that you made all season long. You've been having Brunson as the lead guy. Bro, what we've been saying, there's times where Cat might have to be the dude. He was a guy that was third in MVP voting in December last year. And now Brunson. And we know how it is. That's why, Dom, shout out to Dom Dropper. He always says I have a bias towards a big man. It's like, because it's duh. If you're 7 feet tall and can do what I do, you're in a different category. So I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns and the Knicks have any success if they don't approach it this way. You have to figure out something else. You keep repeating the same thing, expecting a different result. Definition of insanity, right? So to go completely insane, you see all the Giannis rumors. Giannis, all of a sudden, this guy said, I would never say I would demand the trade, but he's full of shit. So that ship has sailed. Forget about him. The other option to this is whether you could trade whatever, all these options we have, all these trade, fantasies that we make up. It's cool. It's fun. But at the end of the day, the other option is we are with Cat. And it's not a bad guy to have on your team. We just wish he had a different approach to the game. And, as much as we love Mike Brown, we've been lauding everybody but Cat this year. OG was starting to slip, right? He's starting to feel the heat from us. And he played better last game as well. But Karl-Anthony Towns maybe needs the support, because when Julius Randle was here, he felt a certain way because he didn't get the support, but he never really showed us anything until the end. Karl-Anthony Towns is not at the end. It seemed like it a couple of times with all these trade rumors, but if he's going to be here and we all can see you and Brunson don't really mesh well. How are we going to be able to communicate that amongst you guys? Forget us. Forget the fans. We could yell whatever we want. But how are you guys able to communicate? Damn, I want the ball over here. Yo, Jalen, I'm not passing the ball. What if Cat feels like not passing the ball today? I don't think any of us would be upset. Like, nobody would be mad. Nobody in the comments. I don't care if you a Brunson stan or ball. None of us would be mad if Cat said, man, fuck that. I'm shooting 50 times today. We're gonna be like, oh shit. I would love it. Just to show that I have some cojones. Now you can't keep doing that. But the fact that you try something different and you're aggressive, that's gonna shock the league. Everyone's gonna be on their heels at that point. If you see Cat is aggressive and you actually got Cat to be aggressive, everybody's been waiting for that, and the rest of the league's been scared of that for his whole career.
I hear you. I would not love him shooting 50 times a game, especially if we don't win and it looks how it looks, where it's all, but I get what you're saying. That was a great point. Listen, we have to deal with what we have to deal with. Cat is here. And like you said, I love when you said, we can have all these scenarios and have fun all we want, but until or unless that happens, listen, this is who we got to roll with. And I'm just glad Mike Brown is starting to understand. Like, listen, bro, you got to get your two best players on the same page, because no matter how much you try to camouflage it, right? But when we start getting deep into the season and playing better teams, a la tonight against Phoenix, when we're in the playoffs trying to get to a championship or to win a championship, your two guys have to be on the same page. They have to have chemistry, and they have to understand we have to be able to stay on the floor together to, for us to have a better chance of winning. So I'm just glad that Mike Brown see that, and now he's trying to fix that problem, because no matter how we feel, no matter in the NBA, we can go back to Kareem and Magic, Bird and McHale, Kobe and Shaq, Scotty and like we can go on and on. If your two guys are not on the same page, you're not going to win basketball games, let alone championships. So I'm just glad that Mike Brown seen that and he's trying to fix that problem.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important for them to at least have some level of cohesion, right? If you have to put them in a position to stagger the lineup, and we are a better team with those two guys, staggering. He's leading the second unit. Jalen Brunson comes in. They're not playing as many minutes together, but it's still a steady diet of them being on the court at the same time. That's coaching. That's figuring out what works. That's looking at what my team is. If we aren't making any moves, this is what works with us. This is how we're going to win games. I think it's for me, I think it's a case-by-case basis as well, right? We haven't seen certain teams yet. We don't know the type of firepower we're going to need against some of these teams. And so, again, we're seeing a team right now that tonight that I'll be honest, I thought they were going to be a lottery team this year. I did not think they were going to be very good. I'm not very high on Jalen Green, that addition. I did not think that Dillon Brooks was going to take the step offensively that he has in his game. His game has taken a huge leap on the offensive end, and he's still one of the better defenders in the league. Devin Booker, I think I spoke to y'all the other day about how I feel about Devin Booker right now. Devin Booker is yelling at people right now and reminding folks I'm still a top 5 player at my position. Y'all argue with whoever you want to argue with, right? And so that team and the coach is a better coach than I even knew anything about, right? How he has them playing, how they're responding, because that's not a very great roster, right? They got a lot of pieces over there. Colin Gillespie is playing at a very good level. I like that guard over there. He's from another Nova guard, right? Another Nova guard, Colin Gillespie. I remember watching him in school. Ryan Dunn. Fabian was dying for us to draft Ryan Dunn. I don't remember if it was last season or whatever it was. Ryan Dunn is another good player for them. Like, they got something cooking over there that I didn't think they had. But again, when we start going up teams like this, teams that are just out there playing and ready to rock and roll, are we going to find ways for us to have that firepower? Because when they got it going, they got it going. Like you said, OG, one of the best duos in the league, if not the best duo. So when they got it going, they got to figure this thing out, man.
You can't see Flea because the shades are hiding it, but you know Flea keeps his eyes on the prize, baby Bubba. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize picks. It's good to be right. AllBall TV. They scared, but I'm not. They don't like comentario.
Y suscribe.